6 weeks ago, we got a call from Ted, who was worried about his solar PV system. When we arrived, what I found shocked me. The DC cables hanging off the side of the roof. No bird protection, rails chewed off like somebody had bitten through them. The battery in the loft was completely loose. The DC isolators didn't exist. The list goes on and on. So today, we're back here to fix it. This is a nightmare. Oh my goodness, that is terrible. It's so satisfying to be getting rid of all this horrible stuff. This whole thing has been a complete disaster for our customer, but we're gonna get it sorted. Now, when we were here before, we got the drone up and we could see quite clearly, even without the drone, that there were DC cables hanging off the roof. The installers had not installed correct roof flashings to allow the DC cables to go through the roof. Instead, they'd run the DC cables in the gutter, and the storm had come, Storm Claudia, and blown all of these DC cables off the edge. Now you can see the state of them now that we've got the scaffolding up. It's even worse than I expected. The cables are all kinked. As we get closer to the rails, we can see the absolute state that they've left the rails in. So I'm really glad that we've gone ahead and got this scaffold up so that we can sort these panels out. As you can see, there are quite a few broken tiles as well. This one was just hanging off into the gutter. So we're gonna get these repaired, get this solar PV system tidied up. So we're here with the SolarSol boys who do all our roof solar panel fitting work. What they're gonna do is lift these old panels off. We're gonna reuse the old panels. Gonna have a good old tidy up under the panels, make sure that there's nothing dodgy going on. Check all of the fixings, make sure the roof penetrations are all done properly. Install proper deck tight roof flashings for the DC cables so that we can get rid of that gutter cable management, and generally upgrade this to a safe and compliant system. The way that they've fixed these is they've literally just screwed straight through the roof tile into the joist, and you can see that the roof tile has actually cracked. So we're gonna have to find a way to kind of repair that. Now, we're not planning on fitting new hooks and rails because these tiles are basically impossible to lift up because of the spray foam insulation that they fitted in the loft space. They fitted spray foam insulation, which then the customer found out is bad and dodgy, and then he had to pay someone to get it removed. This whole thing has been a complete disaster for our customer, but we're gonna get it sorted. This is a nightmare. The way that they've done these roof hooks and rail is a complete disaster, and there's no way that we can just refit the panels on this old rail in good conscience because there aren't enough hooks to support the array properly. There's quite a few broken tiles where the hooks are screwed through. So we've decided just to take ownership of the whole thing. The only way we can do that in good conscience is to completely start fresh so that when we step away from this place, we know it's 100% done properly. Oh my goodness. Oh, you've used one normal roof hook. Oh my goodness. That is terrible. The normal roof hooks or fixings that they've used are those style where they've drilled through. But this is what we call like a standard sort of roof hook where you actually go under the tile and fix the joist. However, they've not used the correct like bolts to fix it with. So you've got 𝐾𝐿 rail with a Renusol roof hook with just a self-tapping screw holding it all together. It's an absolute bodge. Right, Ted, yeah. We've ripped all the old panels off the roof.
Yep.
Unfortunately, we found some more horrors. Not really surprised, but basically where they've fixed the panels through, they've just screwed through the roof tiles.
Yeah.
So there's big holes in the roof tiles, and they're not sealed properly. There's quite a lot of cracks in the roof tiles. Also, the rails that they've used, they've not fixed them properly, so they're quite loose and everything. And I just don't think we can reuse what's there already. I don't want to take responsibility for that. Obviously, the plan was just to reuse the existing fixings, but strip the panels off, tidy it all up, rewire it, and put them back. We're not going to do that now. What we're going to do is start from scratch. So we're literally going to take all the roof hooks off that they've fitted. We're going to replace all the broken tiles. Yeah. We're going to just do everything properly, basically. But I don't want you to worry about cost. We're going to do that free of charge for you.
Oh, great. Thank you.
Yeah, because I appreciate that. You know, this has already been a nightmare for you.
We're kidding.
Yeah. So we're going to do it properly. Then we're absolutely 100% sure that everything's top notch. And that there's not going to be any issues.
Jolly good.
Yeah.
Thank you.
You're very welcome. No worries. Right, so we're here in the loft to rip out this inverter and batteries. As you know from the previous video, there's just so much wrong with this. But the main things are, Ted's an elderly man. He can't get up here to check this system. The generation meter, there's no way he's getting up here to read that. And they hacked the corner off of it. The batteries are heavy. If there was a fire, they'd fall straight through the ceiling and could land on somebody. And the whole way that they've done this is just a complete bodge. So we're going to rip it out, and the new system that we're installing is going to be in a much more accessible place, which we'll explain later. Goodbye, cut corners. Tell you what, I'm so happy to rip this out. You have no idea how satisfying it is to get rid of all of this horribleness once and for all. Unplug this battery, and then we should be able to just lift it out of the loft because it was never fixed into place in the first place. So it's easy to remove, which is, I suppose, every cloud has a silvery lining, as they say. There we go, sorted. What goes up must come down. Oh, it is quite heavy, yeah. And that's why we don't install batteries in lofts. Right, okay. I was going to ask you actually, how's it been over the last few weeks? Because obviously since we came, I guess you were a bit worried about the whole thing. Yeah,
I was a bit worried about having that bomb sitting on my head when I'm in bed.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. Well, that battery's gone now. Good. It's in the back of my van. We'll get that recycled so that, you know, and yeah, you don't have to worry about anything in the loft now.
Yeah, okay.
The only thing you've got up there is a loft light, and that's it.
Oh, right.
So as you might remember from the previous video, I commented on the consumer unit being very dated and a bit of a mess, but also being completely out of access for the customer. You know, I had to crawl in this tiny little cupboard in order to get to it. And obviously it's not ideal for Ted, if anything goes wrong, to have to crawl in there, pull everything out to reset breakers. So we're actually relocating the consumer unit, and we're putting it up a brand new consumer unit for him, and that's going to be around here.
Luckily all the cables come down from the top of this cupboard down in a bit of trunking, so what I'm going to do is pull the cables back. That will give us some slack, reroute them across. Got some trunking here we're going to drop down in, and I'm just going to stick the consumer unit there below this window, and that's just far enough away from the gas meter and it's a little bit better accessible.
So me and John have been stripping out the old system, and I just meant to remove the old cable that runs outside, and this basically sums the install up. They to seal the hole, they use a Greggs sausage roll bag and a tiny bit of silicone. That's mad.
So this is what Luke's talking about. This is the old supply cable for the inverter, which went from the consumer unit up to the loft. So we are removing this. We're going to fill the holes and just make the outside of the house look a little bit nicer as well. If you saw the previous video, you'll remember that one of the problems Ted had was that he didn't know what the system was doing. And that's because it was a really cheap budget system. The software side of things was just awful. So we're putting in a 𝐶𝐸 Energy system for him. Now, if you watch us regularly, you'll know this is one of our favorite systems, superb quality. The app just works so well, and he's gonna have whole house backup via the 𝐶𝐸 Energy Gateway, so that if he gets any power cuts, he's still gonna have the power on, still be able to keep the lights on, keep the house warm. So you'll see here our groundworks team have run in a duct, and the plan is to put the inverter and battery on this wall somewhere. So because this is only one battery module, we're actually wall mounting it, and I think this is the first for us. Usually we do quite big stacks of batteries, so they go on the ground mount plate, but as it's only one module and we want the whole setup to be at an easily accessible height, we're going to use this wall mount bracket. These are the wall angle mount brackets, and they are very solid. And obviously it's still future-proofed, because what we can do is later on, if we wanted to add more battery modules, we could actually remove the wall mount bracket and put it on the floor instead, and then just slot in a couple more battery modules. So it's quite a clever idea, really.
We're mounting this gateway onto this rendered wall obviously the rendering is like that thick, so it's just hollow behind it, or well, it's got insulation behind it, but it's not holding anything. So we've got these special fixings from a little while ago. We had a job that we were going to use them for, almost like whirlies or like plasterboard fixings, but for rendered walls. So trying them out, and hopefully there'll be enough. I'm just sort of overdoing it with the amount of holes that I drill for them.
So one of the challenges here, especially now that we're having to redo everything, is to lift these tiles is really difficult because of this. This is that spray foam insulation that I was talking about that the customer had installed, then realised that it was a bad idea because it can basically make everything damp. It stops the loft from breathing, and therefore it can void your insurance. So he's had it removed, but the tiles are basically glued into place. So Tom's having to go inside the roof and basically cut the nibs off some of the tiles to be able to actually remove them properly, which means that we're going to need a lot of new tiles here in order to get the roof back into good condition. Let's just do new felt and batten as well, shall we? Oh man. So it's day 2. The team got on well yesterday, but there was a bit of a disaster up on the roof. So I'll show you that. But right now we're getting ready to turn the power off because the consumer unit change is happening today. And we want to get Ted set up with some temporary power so that he can keep some important things going. I don't know what's most important. Do you want us to keep your internet on? Do you want us to... Oh, kettle. That's a good one. Okay, yeah, let's do that. I'll leave that there for you. So I got a call yesterday from the roofing team saying that they were having to buy a ton of new roof tiles because so many of the old roof tiles were just in bad condition and they kept breaking as soon as you touched them. So we've got bags and bags of old roof tiles here, and the guys have been really busy yesterday replacing all of the most fragile and damaged roof tiles with brand new ones. So let's have a look and see what it's looking like now. Wow, that's looking a lot better. So as you can see, they've removed all of the damaged tiles, all of the tiles that had holes drilled through them for the old roof hooks. All of these ones are nice, shiny, new tiles. And there's quite a few patches where they had to replace an entire patch of tiles to actually be able to lift the old ones, because as soon as you tried to lift the old ones, they were just damaged because of all of that horrible spray foam insulation underneath. So this is now at the point where it's kind of like a blank canvas for us to start again on, and as soon as our roof hooks and rails arrive and the roofing team can get in here and start installing the new mounting equipment for the solar panels, that will all be installed properly. It just makes me very sad to see where the solar industry is at, the fact that things like this can happen. And you know, this is not the first case. We've made so many videos exposing shocking solar installs. We hear the same stories over and over again of solar installers ripping customers off, installing a poor quality system that doesn't last, and most of the time those Cowboy installers go bust, so the customer has no kind of warranty, no backup, and often they set up a new business the next day in a new name and do the same thing over and over again. Now, there are standards in this industry. You know, we're supposed to install to the MCS standard, that's a micro generation certification scheme. There is training in the industry, but it just seems like it's not really being enforced properly. And when you start to hear things like the government planning to roll out more grants for solar and things like that, to be honest, it just worries me, because I know for a fact that as soon as people hear the word grant, they see pound signs and they jump in to try and make a quick buck. As you can see from our channel, that's not what we're about. We're about doing a quality install that's going to last a long time, but that means that our installs aren't the cheapest, and we can't compete on price with installers that are just throwing in these systems at rock bottom prices and then going bust a few years later. So it creates a challenge for good installers who want to do a good job. The solar industry is hard for those kind of people to be able to stand out, because a lot of the time customers only see the price and they don't take into consideration everything else. And the other thing that makes me sad and frustrated is that often it's people like Ted who get taken advantage of, because they don't necessarily have the knowledge, know what a good install looks like. Often it's these sort of door-to-door salespeople who come in and just sell the dream and then get in and get out quickly, and the customer's left with a bad install. Sometimes they don't even know. I mean, in this situation, if it wasn't for the storm that blew the DC cables out of the gutter, he wouldn't have found out just how bad the situation was until maybe something worse happened, and the situation could have been a lot more tragic. So it's good that we were able to find out and check this system for him and get it all sorted. But the fact is that, you know, there must be systems out there that are as bad or worse than this, and the customer just doesn't know until something goes gravely wrong. So for Artisan, it's not just about doing a safe install, it's about doing a neat install. So little touches like using the laser level to clip the cable really nice and neatly is super important for us. The guys have decided to run it next to this black gutter so that, you know, you've already got a black item on the surface of the wall there. It's just going to sort of blend in because the cable's black as well, and it will look super neat. So these are what should have been there before in the previous system, DC isolators and an AC isolator. Now you might remember there was an AC isolator in the loft, but it was wired up really badly. This one's been done properly and neatly, and we've put 2 DC isolators in, one for each string, so that the DC power from the solar panels, which is live all the time during daylight, can actually be isolated if there's any issues or if the inverter ever needs to be swapped. So this is all done properly now, and you can see how the guys have done a really nice neat job of running the cables in and everything. So the groundworks team have been back in, they've relayed this block paving perfectly, and the cables are nice and neatly running this duct. The duct just future-proofs things. We like to do that because it means that if you do need to run in any more cables later on, you can, but we seal it up at both ends so that it's not going to get any debris in it or any rodents going through it. So I just thought I'd do a bit more digging about the original installer and everything. Now I'm not going to reveal their name on here, but this is the certificate that Ted got, which is not worth the paper it's written on. I mean, it looks fancy, but I was saying yesterday it's a bit like the kind of certificate that you get for passing your 100-meter swimming test at school, you know? It's not a proper certificate. He's not received an MCS certificate or an actual electrical or building regulations certificate, all of which he should have received. This is literally just a fake certificate that the company's given him. But the other thing I've just discovered, which is quite ironic, is that now we've got up on the roof, they gave him this, right, which is the data sheet for the solar panels. It says JA Solar, 380 watt panels, but he's got Longi 405 watt panels up there. So they've given him a data sheet which is completely irrelevant. Obviously he did have a grow watt battery, but they've given him an inverter data sheet which is for a Solis inverter. And again, he didn't have a Solis inverter, he had a grow watt inverter. Very frustrating, but I'm gonna dig into this company, and if I find out any juicy gossip about what happened to them, I'll let you know a bit later in the video. By the way, for those of you eagle-eyed viewers who watch us regularly, you might notice I'm working out of Lee's van, because it's not Lee's van anymore, because we've got a fleet upgrade for our entire crew of electricians. So we've got 4 new vans, all kitted out, signed, written and everything, and I must say they're looking plush in my opinion, but let me know what you think in the comments. Cue the B-roll. How you doing, Ted? Happy with how everything's going so far?
Yeah, fine, yeah.
Good. Yeah, I did a bit of digging yesterday to see if I could find the company that was on the certificate. Yeah. But it's like no company exists or existed with that name.
Just disappeared, didn't it?
It's really weird. Mm. Yeah, but not even like gone bust on company's house or something like that. That specific name just doesn't seem to exist. There's quite a lot of companies registered to that address though.
Yeah. Mm.
So it's really strange. I'd love to somehow try and get in touch with them and like see if we could help you get your money back or something from the original install, you know? So this consumer unit's much better now because Ted can actually reach it. It's not buried in a tiny little cupboard that you have to crawl into and remove all the stuff. It's easily accessible for anyone, so if a circuit did trip, he can easily get in there and reset it. We put a socket in here for him as well and put some safety fuse protection for some various lighting and security alarms, so everything's much safer now. Ted's just told me he's found something. What have you found, Ted? Ah, here we go, more paperwork. And we've got a company registration number. Interesting. And we can see how much it cost you, which for a rubbish install like that, I mean, that's incredible. That's way more than I expected, to be honest. Customer satisfaction form. That's ironic. I noticed you never filled this out. PV contract of sale form, right? This is the really important bit because they've put 𝐼𝐬 Solar as the panels on the contract, but they didn't fit 𝐼𝐬 Solar panels. They fitted 𝐏𝐼𝐬 panels. It's really good that you found this. Thanks for sharing that. So after that revelation from Ted, I've got a bit of a dilemma. I've searched for the company online and I found the trading company, which is still going. They are MCS approved. They are a currently running limited company, trading under a different brand name. The system was sold from one company, installed by another company, which is a trading name for another company. There's a lot of legal layers to this mess, but ultimately the installers were MCS approved and still are, apparently. So my dilemma is this: what do I do? Do I name and shame them here on the channel? Do I report them to MCS and see what MCS say? I'd love to know what you would do. Let me know in the comments. I feel like I need to do something because we can't let people like this get away with this kind of cowboy behaviour. So the team have not only refixed the solar panels properly, but they've fitted this lovely bird protection, which is going to stop any pigeons from getting underneath and going to protect the array. And it also just makes it look a lot smarter as well. So from a shonky, shoddy install to a 5-star install, that's what we're all about. So, it's all done.
Great.
You're all safe now.
Hope so.
How do you feel about how it's all gone?
Just extremely well, actually. Really nice chaps you sent. Really enjoyed having around the house.
Oh, good. Yeah.
Yeah, very helpful.
Lovely.
Yeah.
Oh, that's good to
Good,
know.
yeah.
Yeah. Well, you've got an app that actually works now.
Actually works,
So
yes.
I'll show you how that all works.
Yeah.
And we've got a little surprise for you as well.
So,
Because we threw in an extra feature for you that we didn't tell you about.
oh yes.
So we've put you a backup gateway in, and that means that if you get a power cut, your house will run off your batteries and you won't have any problems with power cuts.
Great, thank you.
So, because we've got a good relationship with 𝐶𝐬 Energy, who does the batteries and everything, and they sponsor us from time to time, we were able to do that for you as a
Good.
little perk for you as well. We've cleaned the gutters out for you as well.
Great.
And I wanted to thank you for being willing to be on the video, because it actually helps a lot other people to raise awareness for this kind of thing. I'm sure there'll be people watching this who, because of your story, will be able to avoid having the same problem happen to them. But it's been a pleasure working for you.
Great, lovely, thanks very much.
What a transformation. I'm so glad we managed to fix this for Ted. And his nightmare install is turned into a beautiful Artisan install. We've done the best that we can for him to get the system working and safe, so that he's got the peace of mind to know that everything's up to scratch now, and he's going to actually be able to see what he's generating and see how the system's performing for him. So if you've enjoyed this video, it would really help if you'd share it out with somebody else who might be able to benefit. And if you haven't subscribed already, we'd love you to join our journey. We post loads of videos about this kind of thing, and we want to help as many people as possible to get a top quality renewable energy installation done. But either way, thanks for watching this video, and if you'd like, why not settle in and watch one of these videos up here that YouTube thinks you'll enjoy.